record anything and everything. Because Joe Rogan, I've challenged you man to man to a fight. You can hold the hand of somebody that you love, because what happens next to you, you're gonna need to remember that feeling.
The social media influencer known online as Liver King has been arrested in Austin, accused of making a terroristic threat. He has nearly 3 million Instagram followers.
Disgraced fitness influencer, the Liver King was just arrested for making terroristic threats to Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, I'm calling you out. My name's Liver King. Man to man, I'm picking a fight with you.
On the evening of Tuesday, June 24, 2025, Brian Johnson was formally booked into the Travis County Jail by the Austin Police Department. The charge was singular and serious: terroristic threat, a Class B misdemeanor under Texas law. Liver King's followers were very concerned with his mental state. Liver King was posting every day on social media and constantly verbally attacking Rogan. Liver King even posted a video with his family moments before his arrest. You can hear the police sirens approaching in the background.
Dude, I don't know if you heard, there's free Wi-Fi this week. There's free Wi-Fi, and there's a password to it. What's the password, Rad?
Joe Rogan.
Do you know the password?
This charge, which carries a potential penalty of up to 180 days in jail and a $2,000 fine, is not levied lightly. According to Texas statutes, a person can be charged if they make verbal or physical threats that cause others to feel a reasonable fear of imminent serious bodily injury or that are intended to incite public panic. Johnson's bond was set at $20,000. For a time, the direct link between Johnson's rants and his arrest remained a matter of media speculation. That ambiguity was erased by a definitive statement from the Austin Police Department. A public information specialist, Clara Ash, confirmed to Newsweek that the arrest was the direct result of Johnson's social media activity targeting Rogan. APD detectives were first notified of the threats on the morning of June 24th. After reviewing the posts and observing that Johnson was actively traveling to Austin while continuing his threatening statements, they took the critical step of contacting the target himself. This contact is the legal linchpin of the entire event. According to the APD, Joe Rogan stated he had never had any interaction with Johnson and considered the post to be threatening. Rogan's perception of the threat as credible and serious transformed the case from a bizarre social media feud into a potential criminal act. Based on Rogan's statement, detectives obtained an arrest warrant. Without this element, Johnson's behavior could have been dismissed as a performative, albeit unhinged rant. With it, the line was crossed. At approximately 5:59 p.m., APD officers located Johnson at the Four Seasons Hotel and took him into custody without incident. The sheer strangeness of the videos immediately fueled widespread public concern over Johnson's mental state. Fans and commentators alike speculated that he was in the midst of a severe mental health crisis, with some suggesting an episode of schizophrenia. This speculation was not merely amateur psychology. Social media users familiar with Texas law pointed out that authorities have the power to temporarily detain an individual for a psychiatric evaluation if they are deemed a danger to themselves or others. This led to the theory that the arrest might have been a form of health intervention rather than a purely criminal proceeding, a possibility that added another layer of complexity and tragedy to the public spectacle. Before the arrest, the steroids, and the millions of followers, Liver King was just Brian Johnson. To really get how far he fell, you have to understand how he built himself up in the first place. The Liver King wasn't some wild man from the woods. He was created right in the middle of the modern world he claimed to hate. His whole personality was a carefully planned product, made to fill a gap he saw in what people wanted and built on his own insecurities and a desire to make money. This is the story of how he went from a self-described runt to a self-proclaimed king. Born around 1977, Brian Johnson said his early years were all about feeling small and weak. In the 2025 Netflix documentary Untold: The Liver King, he talks about his father dying suddenly when he was a baby. This left him feeling undersized, like a runt, and he also had a bad speech problem. He found his heroes in the super macho movie stars of the time, looking up to characters like Rambo and Conan the Barbarian. Whether this backstory is 100% true or stretched for the cameras, it explains a lot about his later obsession with his body, over-the-top masculinity, and completely changing himself. He has admitted to always struggling with low self-esteem, a weakness that would both drive him and become his excuse for lying. The biggest contradiction in the Liver King brand is what Brian was doing before he got famous. Before he remade himself as a back-to-nature rebel, he was a deep part of the very modern world he told his followers to leave behind. He got a degree in biochemistry and then worked as a drug company sales rep, selling the products of modern medicine. This wasn't just a quick job. He and his wife Barbara started, ran, and eventually sold a high-tech dental practice called Dentic Dentistry. He called it an interesting opportunity that fell in our lap, but said it was never his real passion. This history shows he wasn't a man of the wild, but a man of business meetings and sales calls, which makes his later ancestral personality seem very dishonest. The Liver King persona was officially launched in 2021. Using the power of short videos on TikTok and Instagram, Johnson completely changed his image. He quickly gained a huge audience with millions of followers who were hooked by his crazy stunts and his simple, strong message. The official story he told for this change was a noble one. He claimed he started living an ancestral lifestyle to try and cure his two sons, Rad and Striker, of ongoing childhood sicknesses and allergies. He used his own ripped, unbelievably muscular body as the ultimate proof that his methods worked. This well-told origin story, a father's love leading him to ancient secrets, was powerful, easy to relate to, and, as we'd find out, not the whole truth. The heart of the Liver King brand is his 9 ancestral tenets. He sells this list as a total guide to getting back the strength we've lost in the modern world. Some of these ideas are just common sense health advice like getting enough sleep, moving your body, and being in the sun, but he packages them with extreme and unproven claims that make his brand stand out. The Eat tenet is the most famous and the most debated. Johnson pushes a diet of raw animal parts including liver, testicles, bone marrow, and even blood. He believes in an idea he calls like supports like. This is the unproven idea that eating an animal's organ will directly help the same organ in your own body. While this is shocking to watch and gets a lot of clicks online, it has been widely criticized by doctors and nutrition experts. They warn about the serious risks of getting sick from bacteria and parasites in uncooked meat. They also point out the danger of high cholesterol and heart disease from a diet so high in saturated fat. Just as unscientific as the Shield tenet, this tells followers to protect themselves from things like Wi-Fi signals and electromagnetic fields. The scientific world has repeatedly proven this is not a real danger, but it's a key part of the Liver King story. It makes the modern world seem like a toxic, invisible enemy that his followers need protection from, a protection his lifestyle and products can supposedly give them. When you look at all 9 tenets together, you see they are not some ancient wisdom, but a modern marketing plan. The normal tenets like sleep, move, and sun make it seem believable, while the extreme and unproven tenets like eat and Shield create a unique, shocking, and sellable brand. The whole system seems designed to point out a problem like the weakness of modern life and then sell the perfect solution, which is the ancestral lifestyle sold through his supplements. Building the empire, supplements, and success. The Liver King personality was not just for show. It was the sales department for a very profitable business empire. Johnson co-owns several supplement companies. Ancestral Supplements and Heart and Soil are his biggest. These companies sell his message directly with products like grass-fed beef liver capsules for followers who want the diet without eating raw organs every day. The money this business model made has been huge. Some reports say his brands bring in an amazing $100 million a year. Johnson himself has claimed his net worth was $310 million in 2023. Other estimates are lower, but still massive. One analysis put his liquid net worth at $12 million from supplement sales, social media, and public events. He has invested this money in large properties in Austin, including a mansion worth between $4 and $8.3 million. He also owns a property called the Liver Ranch worth $1 million, which he uses as a set for his videos. This empire was built on a contradiction. Johnson used the newest modern tools like viral social media marketing and online stores to sell an idea based on rejecting the modern world. He warned about the dangers of Wi-Fi while building a career on Instagram and TikTok. He preached a natural lifestyle while running a business that basically sold processed animal parts in a plastic bottle. This is the key to understanding him not as a true believer, but as a very smart and effective marketer. He found a group of people, often young men, looking for purpose and strength, and created the perfect product to cash in on their fears. The fact that he ran supplement fraud schemes as a teenager is not a small detail. It confirms a lifelong pattern. The Liver King was not a new creation, but the ultimate version of a career con artist updated for the internet age. Every empire built on a lie has a weak spot, a single point that if hit can bring the whole thing crashing down. For Brian Johnson, that weak spot was his body. His incredibly muscular physique was the main pillar of his brand. It was the living proof that his ancestral lifestyle worked. The reveal that this pillar was not built from raw liver and hard work, but from thousands of dollars of performance-enhancing drugs was the event that destroyed his credibility. This was the moment that set him on the path to his arrest. This was the great betrayal. The moment the mask was ripped away, revealing the normal modern man underneath the costume. The lie was not a quiet one. It was active, aggressive, and repeated. Brian Johnson went on a media tour to lock in the lie at the center of his brand. He looked interviewers in the eye and swore his body was natural. On a popular podcast in May 2022, he denied the steroid rumors. His most famous denial came during a 2022 podcast appearance. When asked directly about performance-enhancing drugs, his answer was clear. "I don't touch the stuff. I've never done the stuff. I'm not going to do the stuff." This statement became the prime example of his lies, a soundbite played over and over after the truth came out. These denials were not random. They were a strategic part of his plan. His entire business model, which reportedly made $100 million a year, depended on the belief that his supplements and lifestyle, not drugs, were the source of his strength. The truth came out on November 28, 2022. A fitness YouTuber known for his investigative channel published a detailed hour-long video that acted as a public indictment of Johnson. He had received private emails from an anonymous source. This source was allegedly a former coach of Johnson's who became tired of the lie. These emails were the smoking gun. The information was specific and damning. They showed Johnson was spending over $11,000 a month on a complex mix of drugs. The list of substances was much more than simple testosterone. It included powerful steroids, growth factors, and large amounts of human growth hormone. The leak was not just a list of drugs. It included Johnson's own blood test results and his exact dosages. This left no room for him to deny it. The lie was not just exposed, it was dissected in painful detail for the world to see. The body that was the foundation of his empire was not just unnatural, it was a pharmaceutical creation of the highest level. Faced with proof he couldn't deny, Johnson's first reaction was defiance. "There's no denying that, man. I knew he got me," he admitted. Then he added, "Who cares? What kind of harm did I really do?" This private admission was very different from the show of regret he would perform for the public just 3 days later. On December 1st, 2022, he posted a video to his YouTube channel. The video was a masterclass in crisis management and changing the story. Sitting on his throne-like chair, he gave a serious and seemingly heartfelt apology. He admitted the main truth. "Yes, I've done steroids. And yes, I am on steroids managed by a trained hormone clinician." But the confession was immediately followed by a strategic change of subject. He reframed his lie as a result of his own deep psychological problems and a side effect of a noble mission. "When I talk about the 85% of the population that suffers from self-esteem issues, that's me. I'm part of that statistic," he claimed. "This is why I work myself to death in the gym." He presented the entire Liver King personality as an experiment to spread the message and to fight against suicide, depression, and anxiety, especially among young men. The apology was not for the lie itself, but for being caught. It was an attempt to show himself not as a dishonest fraud, but as a flawed hero whose methods were wrong, but whose cause was right. Critics and viewers widely saw the performance as insincere and lacking real accountability. The public anger was fast and harsh. The confession video confirmed that Johnson's main marketing tool was a fraud. The consequences quickly moved from public opinion to a court of law. A $25 million class action lawsuit was filed in New York against Johnson and his main companies. The lawsuit argued that customers were victims of deceptive marketing and fraud. It claimed Johnson's entire brand was based on the lie that his body was achievable through his diet and supplements. Therefore, consumers bought his products under false pretenses. They believed they were buying the secret to his natural success. The lawsuit went even further, accusing Johnson of promoting a dangerous and life-threatening diet of raw meat that allegedly caused some customers to suffer from severe food-borne illnesses. Brian Johnson's final and total meltdown cannot be understood without looking at the one-sided war he started with Joe Rogan. This was not a fight between equals. It was the obsessive focus of a disgraced con man on the person he blamed for his public takedown. Rogan is a figure whose own brand is built on a type of realness. This made him the perfect opposite for Johnson's fake personality. The conflict was completely one-sided. It was a battle Johnson could never win. His failure to accept this fact led him straight to a jail cell in Austin, long before the arrest. Joe Rogan was one of the loudest skeptics of the Liver King. From his hugely popular podcast, he often questioned if Johnson's natural body was real. He grouped him with other fake naturals he often criticized for lying to the public. For Rogan, it was a matter of principle. Influencers who secretly use steroids while selling a lifestyle or supplements based on natural results are committing a type of fraud against their audience. The most detailed takedown happened on a podcast episode that featured the YouTuber who first exposed Johnson. The podcast transcript shows how much Rogan disliked him. He revealed that Johnson had been trying really hard to get on the podcast. He even showed up in the front row at one of Rogan's comedy shows in Las Vegas. Rogan's opinion of Johnson's whole business was harsh and direct. "This is dumb, man. This is a con game and you got busted." Rogan went on to break down the hypocrisy at the center of Johnson's brand. He pointed out the obvious problem that a huge amount of steroids and growth hormone is not part of an ancestral lifestyle. He questioned the logic of the ancestral diet itself. He argued that if it worked so well, Johnson would not need hormone therapy to have working testicles or enough hormones. For Rogan, Johnson's lie spit in the face of his message so much that it was impossible to defend. Rogan's criticism was not personal. It was a complete rejection of Johnson's business and public image. While Rogan saw Johnson as a fraud, Johnson seemed to see Rogan as a personal enemy. He saw him as the single person responsible for his downfall. His increasing threats and challenges were not a normal response to criticism. They showed a deep obsession. The words he used in his challenge videos reveal he totally misunderstood the situation. He framed the conflict as a matter of principle. He declared, "You can't pick a fight with a real king and then expect there to not be an actual fight." This statement is very revealing. It shows that Johnson truly believed Rogan had started a fight by criticizing him, and that a physical fight was the only honorable option for a king. This obsession led to the bizarre series of videos he posted in June 2025, the challenge to a physical fight, the offer of $1 million charity prize, and the trip to Austin. These were all desperate one-sided attempts to force Rogan to engage with him. He was trying to drag Rogan into his story to make the fight real. This behavior is a sign of what some might call a narcissistic injury. When Johnson's inflated self-image of the invincible Liver King was popped by Rogan's believable and widely heard skepticism, he couldn't handle it as valid criticism. Instead, he saw it as a personal attack that threatened his identity. This triggered a massive and unhealthy rage. His escalating actions were not a show of strength, but the primal scream of a broken ego. A desperate attempt to get back control of a story that had spun completely away from him. After Johnson's arrest, the most powerful thing Joe Rogan did was nothing at all. As of the dates of the news reports, Rogan had made no public statement, no podcast segment, no tweet, and no comment of any kind about Johnson's threats or his arrest. This silence was not a sign of weakness. It was a brilliant strategic move. It denied Johnson the very thing he wanted most, which was engagement. Johnson's entire meltdown was a show designed to get a reaction from Rogan to force him into the spotlight. By refusing to even acknowledge the performance, Rogan basically made it meaningless. He ended the fight by simply not showing up. This non-response shows the basic imbalance of the feud. Johnson's brand of fake authenticity was ultimately powerless against Rogan's brand of lived-in authenticity. When Rogan used his platform to expose the lie and then refused to engage with the temper tantrum that followed, he proved that in the battle for belief, the strongest weapon is often the quiet refusal to take part in someone else's delusion. The story became a warning about the clash of these two types of public identity, where the consequences for the seller of the fake version became undeniably criminally real.